Okay. How is it going, folks? Good to be here. Let me triple check. I'm not having some malfunctions here. All right. Looks like we're good. How's it going? Good to be here. It's been a couple weeks. I apologize for missing last week's episode. Had a lot of things going on and literally couldn't make it. So, I guess hopefully that doesn't happen too often. But how's it going, Jim? Good to see you, or good to hear from you, rather. So yeah, I got some things to discuss, and I guess this is actually our. By the way, let me know if there's something going on with the audio or the video at all. Just still trying to make sure that everything's dialed in, so it's going to take a few episodes to make sure of that. Just getting in the groove of things, you know what I mean? Let me get a drink. I'm already dry mouth. Damn, that's good. All right. So yeah, welcome, episode 52. Raise the seat up. It's been a couple weeks, so had a lot of things happen in 2 weeks, believe it or not. It's actually crazy the amount of things that happens in such a short period of time. It kind of surprises me every time. But yeah, we had a lot of things that happened. I got a lot of things to talk about. As usual, I got so much to talk about that I can't even fit it all in one episode. So we're just gonna have to roll over. I gotta kind of sift through what I want to talk about, what I think is important, what's kind of more imperative to kind of brush the surface on. And especially more importantly, as we approach the end of the year here, this is the last episode of 2020. I think we've been doing, I can't remember what month we started in. I know it was in the summertime. I think it was maybe July, June maybe. So it's been about 6 months. So I appreciate anybody who's, Jim, you've been here quite frequently, so I appreciate you following us and supporting us big time. And anybody else who's been watching, even on your own time, if you're not here to make it for a live episode, that's perfectly okay. I understand, you know, people got lives and we got things going on. Not everybody can kind of carve out the time to watch something all at the same time. So I appreciate that. Any likes, follows, shares, subscriptions, I really appreciate that. So keep it up. Let's keep the momentum going, because 2021 is going to be, I plan on going hard at everything I do this next year. So the podcast is definitely one of them. And so just looking for ways to kind of spice it up and get better at things, provide a little more value, contribute more and more every time. So just be better is kind of what I'm focused on. So wish me luck and give me some support as well, would you? So yeah, you can find this on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple. I feel like I'm missing one, but no, I guess that's all of them. So yeah, again, follow us, like the channel, subscribe, give us a share, just to help us kind of pick the momentum up, because I feel like we talk about a lot of different things that are kind of valuable, and a lot of thought-provoking things, some profound things that really, I try to focus on things that people just don't think about sometimes, or that are misconstrued with the messages behind it. So I really, yeah, YouTube. I thought I said YouTube. So if I missed that, yeah, I apologize. So make sure my phone's off so we ain't got any interruptions. Yay. So yeah, and so I'll just start off by kind of kicking it off. Hopefully you guys had a really good Christmas. Jim, why don't you let me know how your Christmas was, since you seem to be live on here. Anybody else watching, feel free to chime in with how your Christmas was, you know, what the highlight of your day was, the highlight of the weekend was. Mine was really relaxing. This is the first time that I've actually had time, I guess you would call it time off, even though I've just been working, and I had my face really just buried in a screen with video editing and advertising. And so that's really what I used my time for. Me and my daughter celebrated Christmas on Christmas Eve. We did the dinner thing. I bought a dinner. I didn't. It's the first time I didn't cook, and so that was a change for me. And it was nice because for as a plant-based eater, it's kind of hard to find something, especially a holiday event, to find such a massive proportion of vegan food that's that's provided by any restaurant, I guess you would say. And so the Wayside downtown Olympia came through for me, and they really hooked it up. It had, all the fixings, and it was just really good. And I ate it the next day, so there was a lot of it. And so yeah, you pay like $100 and you just get a ton of food. I was telling somebody about this, and they made the comment like, "Oh, $100, that's quite a bit." I was like, "Yeah, well, believe it or not, when I cook, I spend more than that. I'm almost certain I spend more than that every time I cook and go buy food. I feel like there's at least over $100 in produce and things like that." So real quick here. All right, Jim. Yeah, yours was quiet and relaxing. Just you and Mark. Right on. You cooked. Your wife went home to Ghana. I hope I pronounced that right. To visit her family. That's cool. And where is that at? Why don't you enlighten me where that is at? Jimmy came by and you exchanged your gifts and chatted it up and gabbed, as you said. That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad you got to spend a little time with the family. That's great that you got some close family. I'm kind of jealous, and I envy that because I don't have, I do have some family around here. My sister is here. I do have a brother-in-law and and a nephew and some nieces around here. We're all kind of spread out, and then more importantly, it doesn't even help that this pandemic is still going on, and really just kind of gridlocking everybody from wanting to get together. That has definitely put a damper on things. Close this out real quick here. There we go. Okay, cool. So I did pronounce it correctly. All right, cool. West Africa, huh? That's cool. I always wanted to check out Africa, man. I hear nothing but good things about Africa, and for some reason, a lot of what I see is it's a poverty-stricken country. I could be completely wrong. I'm sure there's some beautiful, rich areas in that country as well, but you just don't see a lot of that, I feel like, in the movies and the way the movies portray Africa. Yeah, I know some people from Africa. There's I had a Ethiopian kid that worked for me for a little while. Very cool guy, young man. He was young. And forgive me if Ethiopia is not in Africa, because I was always under the assumption that it is. And if I remember right, we were talking about it, so I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, super solid guy, and I can tell that he had a lot of good values that his parents instilled into him as well. And so he was a very good worker. He didn't end up staying with my company because of personal reasons on his part, but I really enjoyed his company, and I still see him from time to time over at Fred Meyer, because that's where he works, and I see him, wave to him, and so still a good guy. And so it'd be cool to kind of check out Africa. So you've been there 6 times, huh? And some parts are underdeveloped. Okay. South Africa is most developed. Okay. Right on. Yeah, it sounds very interesting, and I would love to take a trip down there. Anywhere really. I've been sheltered my whole life, so anytime we start talking about anything overseas or different countries, I get excited because I can't wait till the chance where I can travel and kind of do that. Speaking of which, I actually am going to travel the furthest that I ever have been, which is going to be Miami. I'm going to go to Miami in March, and I'm pretty excited about that. I have never been. The farthest I've been is Vegas, so Nevada, the farthest east anyway. I've been to Southern California because that's where we lived in Barstow for a while, which is, for those of you who don't know, Barstow's just south, the southern part of California in the Mojave Desert. So it's just real dry and humid, and there's not, in Barstow in particular, there wasn't a lot out there as far as development like we're talking about it. So, but yeah, I'm going to go to Miami, and I can't wait. I'm going to be going there for, like a motivational entrepreneurship type conference. You guys probably heard, I don't know if you haven't, what it is Grant Cardone is going to be putting on the 10X conference, a growth conference as they call it. They do this every year. They have a lot of guest speakers that show up. And yeah, it's a 3-day event. You show up and you just hang out and you just rub elbows with a ton of successful millionaires and people that are actually trying to improve their life for the better. So I'm pumped. Last year, and the guest speakers are, high quality, high profile individuals. Last year, just to name a few, I think there was John Travolta, Dana White, Kevin Hart, Floyd Mayweather. I don't know if Steve Harvey was there the year before or this last year. Just a lot of, Usher was there. Just a lot of high profile individuals. I think it's still Stallone, I want to say. No, I'm getting that mixed up. I think Stallone was in Tony Robbins's Get Together. But yeah, I'm ranting on it because I'm excited. I can't wait to go to Miami because I've seen just in the movies what it's like. It's going to be nice weather, and hopefully by then, a lot of these restrictions and things are going to be lifted. I just can't wait. So, all right. So Ethiopia is in Eastern Africa, okay, and Egypt, Nigeria, and there are about 50 different countries. Oh, okay, I see. In Barstow, yeah, me and Danny lived together in Barstow. That's why I was there when Selena and David were living there. I was there for about a year and a half during my junior year. You got friends in Victorville? Okay. Yeah, we went to Victorville a couple times. I still got a couple friends there that I talked to. One of them now, actually, I don't talk to the other one very much, but a good friend of mine that I still talk to every so often is Greg, and I totally remember him. We went to high school together and kind of had a good time and hung out quite a bit. So, yeah, it was still a good experience. And actually, as hot and miserable as it was, I actually enjoy that weather where I just know it's going to be hot every day. I really like that, and I kind of took it for granted coming from Washington because when I came back, it's just, especially over here on the West Coast, it's just rain and it's just wet and soggy. I've never been a fan of that, although it's kind of ironic that I've been working outdoors in construction for so many years. I figured out how to adjust and make it work. You know what I mean? It's just all about being comfortable, and when you're doing that type of work, just making sure you got all the right gear, making sure your hands and your feet are warm, and then you can really do anything you want. But yeah, so I had a great Christmas. I will show you, I was going to do, my favorite Christmas present to Malia, I'm going to show you guys. You probably see it kind of over here in the corner. Super cool. It's a self-portrait of me and Malia. It's one of our favorite pictures, and there's a company called Paint Your Life that you might have seen online. They're constantly advertising, and I seen that. Looked into it, and I was like, this is actually a great business model and a great opportunity to do this because I've always wanted a self-portrait of us. And so, nice. So last year you flew to Vegas and drove through Arizona to San Diego. Nice. Yeah, I went to Vegas in September last year too, and I went there for business as well. One late night, I did go out and play a little bit of poker because I was just kind of carving out some me time, because I really didn't have time for it. I was there for 3 days as well, and they gave us a lot of homework in the company that I was actually there doing the business meeting with. So they didn't leave me time to do anything, and so I had a good time though, and I really enjoyed the weather more than anything. All right, your sister lives in San Diego. Awesome. I'm going to show you guys this picture real quick, just because I'm anxious. I'm going to hang it up here sooner or later, but yeah, that is it. And again, I'm super impressed and happy with how this turned out, because if you guys know me or anybody has seen any of my pictures on my daughter's podcast or on my own personal profile, you have seen this picture before, and the guy did an amazing job. I mean, it just all the detail and all the things he captured in it, it really looks identical to the picture. So super happy with that. This is something Malia will keep for the rest of her life, and it's just a good memory to have. Portraits are cool, and just the fact that I don't know, looking at yourself as a painting is just a trip. So really cool. Pretty soon I'm gonna hang that up there. Like I said, I didn't have the time to really do it today, so you'll see it up there eventually. Make it our center piece for wall decor. So, but yeah, that was kind of the highlight of the Christmas. Me and Malia ate dinner, kept it real low key, and watched a couple Christmas movies. She's never seen A Christmas Carol. And obviously, there's many forms of A Christmas Carol about Ebenezer Scrooge, but I've always liked that story about, you know, an individual who's just really bitter and has just a bad attitude about the whole. Pictures are treasures, man, and they're memories that are just forever. And so there's going to be a time when I'm not around, and Malia's still going to have that picture, and just completely just going to take her back and kind of keep those memories fresh for her, I think. So. Yeah, I agree. I love pictures and paintings and art. Pictures are art, so yeah, I love all that. But yeah, we watched A Christmas Carol. I decided to watch the newer one. I think it's the last one, which was the one with Jim Carrey. That was a while ago though, so they might have made a different one since then. But really good one. It's been a while since I watched that. It's just a great story of how an individual has just got a chip on his shoulder and just a bad attitude towards Christmas, and then, you know, after reflecting on his own life and the things that have made him the way he is, he's come to realize that there's actually joy in that, and he just I guess, long story short, in a nutshell, it's just about a bitter guy that finds joy in the end and just completely 180s, and it's a great story. So we watched it, she loved it. Then we watched some cheesy low-budget movie. It was called Holly Star, I think it was, a couple years old. You know, me and her get a kick out of those cheesy low-budget Christmas movies, so we watched one of them, and it was pretty good. I liked it. So, yeah, that was pretty much our Christmas. I kept it real low-key, and then, like I said, yesterday and today, I kind of just been face-deep in the screen. I was up till 2 a.m. video editing, and spent a lot of the day today, and also advertising. Last night and today, so just been grinding because the next few months are gonna get real busy. We got a lot of these big jobs for my business that are starting to come down the funnel now, and of course they're all gonna come at the same time. Everybody's been waiting for months, and one of them's been waiting for a year, and they're all just coming at the same time now, and everybody wants to know where we're at, and so it's just gonna get real hectic, which is a good thing, but it's going to get stressful for me, which is that's part of it. You know, I mean, I expect it, and I deal with it, roll with the punches. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. And let's see here. We got a lot of things. We got a few things to talk about. We got the Contagious combo, obviously. We got a review. We got the viral viewpoint, and then I got a few rants that I can go through here. And then last but not least, I got a little segment that I called New Words and Loose Phrases of 2020. So we can kind of go over that as well. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. So I guess the first thing that I want to talk about, because I can't stop staring about it, is the stimulus check. It's crazy to me how, and it's funny, man. I love seeing the memes on things. Memes are great for just a good laugh and a good chuckle. And the memes for the $600 stimulus check is just hilarious right now. So when I see that, it's good for a laugh. 1 second. And so, yeah. I find it interesting that we all know $600 isn't shit, right? I mean, most of us pay rent that's probably double that. My rent here, I'm still a renter. My rent it's just gone up again for the second time in the year. Thank you, landlord. It's like, and by the way, that guy's a super fucking douchebag. I'm just gonna go out and say it. I don't know if he's targeting me. I forgot to ask my neighbor, but it feels like I'm being targeted. This whole year, I feel like I've been targeted just as a business in general. With being ripped off, I had to have my card changed 3 times. The most recent one was when someone somehow added themselves on my Google Ads page and changed my ad budget, and I didn't catch it for, God, I didn't, and this I guess could be a rant. I don't know if I even talked about this yet. Oh yeah, I did talk about this. The $6,000 thing, that's right. So I'm repeating myself, but long story short, Bank of America denied that they were going to take care of that. And so, I'm pretty upset about that. I'm going to be calling them and finding out what's going on, because it's not my fault that someone hacked into my account and did that. And I'm just way too busy to catch that stuff. And so it took a month for me to actually catch it. So pretty upset about that, but that's just an example of how I've been targeted all year. And it's no different by my landlord. He's raised the rent twice on me in just this 1 year during a pandemic. So super douchebaggery. So back to the stimulus checks here, because Jim, you're chiming in on it, and I appreciate your feedback here. So Trump has to sign the bill for it. He threatened to veto it. He told them to send out $2,000 each. Yeah, what is your thoughts behind that? Because as far as I know, Trump was asking to send out individuals $2,000 each, and then all of a sudden, so all of a sudden, from what I've heard, it's the Biden campaign that's, since they have been elected, is proposing the $600 check. Now, again, I don't know all these things. It's just shit I've heard, and I haven't looked into it. But you're saying it's kind of funny because he was one in on the negotiations, and $600 was suggested by his group. Yeah, see, I wish I knew some facts on all this, because from what I've heard, Trump was suggesting the $2,000, and he got denied that. And so I don't know. What you're saying is contradictory from what I've heard, and so I don't know. I find that hard to believe, because I don't know what to believe actually now. But $600 regardless is shit. And so hopefully nobody's depending on that, because and I feel bad. I mean, I'm sitting here laughing, but it's a delirious type of laugh. It's, you know what I mean. It's not to be insulting to people that are actually needing the $600, because I do have compassion for that, and I'm sorry that people are in that situation. But on the other hand, you're in that situation because you put yourself there. So I'm also a harsh individual when it comes to reality of life and decisions that you've made. So the $600 is shit, though. Now, don't get me wrong. If they send me the $600, of course I'm going to cash it, put it in the bank. But as far as them suggesting that they want to help people and that they care about the people, as the politicians like to use that phrase, the people, it's just a joke. $600 isn't going to help anybody. We know this. They know that. There's not one person here besides a 3-year-old that thinks $600 is a lot of money. I mean, shit, my daughter probably doesn't even think that's a lot of money. So okay. So you heard the Democrats try to get the 2,000 passed Wednesday in the House, and it was failed to pass. Okay. You are the first person to tell me that. So where did you hear that? I would be very interested in looking at that, because that type of shit really interests me. And I kind of, that's why it's hard to believe anything, because you'll see a bunch of posts and stuff like that, and I don't believe any of this stuff. And a lot of the stuff I talked about is just stuff I've heard. Okay, so 2,000 per person, family of 2 is 4,000. Google it. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out after this, actually, because that is the first time stimulus. That's the first time I've heard of that. From what I've heard, it was Trump that was trying to get the 2K. Okay, that's what it's called, House referendum. Yeah, that's a tough word. Referendum. Okay. Why does that sound wrong? I'm pretty sure it's right, but it sounds wrong. All right. Well, I'll check that out. But regardless, I just wanted to bring that up because it's sad. It shows that they don't give a shit about anybody. I mean, that's just one way they're showing it. In my opinion, I can go on about this. Obviously, the fact that they've shut down everything is a clear indication that they don't give a shit about anybody. And the fact that they haven't made any real decisions about not shutting everything down and kind of dabbling with, this will stay open, that'll stay open, but they're going to shut down, gyms are going to shut down, this is going to shut down. It really clearly shows they don't give a shit about anybody but themselves, let alone the people. And so, really irritated with politicians, and I don't even like politics, but just to hear this, it hasn't affected me that I know of yet. I know it's going to affect me sooner or later here, and especially next year. I know it's really going to affect business owners from what I hear, especially when it comes to the unemployment taxes doubling up to 300%, or tripling, up to 300% next year. I heard that being a thing, which I'm very well aware I'm going to have to pay as a business owner. So I'm not looking forward to some of the changes that are coming up this next year. So it was originally $1,200 and was presented in May around the 15th, called the HEROES Act. See, the thing about, and again, I don't know any truth to this, but what I do know that is true is that Trump was in office and he did kick out, wasn't it $1,200? So when I hear you say that you heard Trump's campaign or Trump's party or Trump's crew suggesting $600, that doesn't make any, that's not consistent with what Trump has done. I got a check from Trump, so I seen it and I cashed it myself. And so that's one thing that kind of makes me leery as far as when I hear that. I don't know if I believe that that Trump was suggesting $600, because I think, I don't know. You can say what you want about him, but the guy gave us $1,200 or whatever it was. I don't even know what it was because I didn't really need it at the time. I cashed it indeed, but again, I don't remember what it was. But he did do that. And that was a fact. And so that was one thing he did. Trump's staff. Oh, okay. Staff. There we go. His crew sounds like a gang member, though, right? It sounds like a mob, kind of like that. Because that's what they are. It seems like they're just muscling people and strong arming people left and right, and businesses, and more importantly, it's a sad thing. And this whole year has really sucked, especially for businesses. People that are struggling were more than likely already struggling or just getting by or living paycheck to paycheck at the very least. So they shouldn't be surprised, because when you do that, when you live paycheck to paycheck, you're not saving up for emergencies. And I'm talking about myself too. I lived paycheck to paycheck for very many years, and it was very idiotic, and I was very little thinking as far as not protecting myself with any type of safety net. And so I feel way more sorry for the people that have built businesses, including myself. Now that I am a business owner, it's been devastating, and trying to navigate this change and trying to, look for ways to overcompensate in different areas, whether it be advertising, whether it be, not hiring as many employees, or, it's affected businesses, and I've been okay because I decided to actually attack the fear that was put in front of me, like I always do. But I feel bad for the people that have went into retreat, and more importantly are being regulated, like the guy in Seattle where they arrested him. The bar owner refused to shut down and they arrested him. It's like, Jesus Christ, people, like, you couldn't. And I was making a joke about this, I think, on one episode, like, you would have been better off shutting his power and water off like the mayor of Los Angeles was threatening to do, rather than arrest him. That's a bit extreme. And then the $70,000 fines to the what was it, Lewis County restaurant owner. Yeah, that's ridiculous. And that's just sad. You can't expect people to just lay down and roll over with something. I mean, some of these businesses have been running for 40 years, and it's just idiotic and unreasonable to expect someone to just retreat and not make any money, especially when there's a ton of overhead and a ton of families that are being supported by this business. So, so he had the Treasury Secretary and the head of Senate's Mitch McConnell. Okay. Steve Mnuchin was the treasurer of Trump's negotiator. Okay. Right on. Yeah, I mean, I hope, regardless, I hope it just takes a turn for the right direction. I mean, I don't understand how Trump's even a factor in this anymore. I mean, at what point does Trump and his staff get eradicated? Are they always going to be in this for these 4 years and that Biden's going to be in term? Okay, it was taken since May to now to negotiate. Oh, it has taken since May to now to negotiate everything. Okay, so I'm assuming that's why they're still involved in this, because they were part of the negotiation to begin with. Hopefully, I don't know how this works with politicians, but I always thought in my mind, when someone becomes president, the previous president is out and done, and they have no say, they have no power, they have no recourse, they have no position to make any decisions like that. Okay, and you're saying that Trump is done January 20th. Okay, so he's actually in a position of power still. From the sounds of it, he's still a factor and a variable with these decisions that are being made. So until that happens, I really don't know. I can't wait till that happens, because there's still a lot of gray area when I hear things like this, as far as like, well, who's to blame for all this? Who's going to take accountability for that? Trying to ask a politician to take accountability for anything is very far-fetched. It's not going to happen. I don't see many politicians ever taking accountability. Okay, transition happens in the vote in time. Okay, hopefully January 20th and not much longer than that. I will say I'm very worried about Biden not making it for 4 years in his term, in his 4-year term, rather. I mean, that guy just seems unhealthy to me. You can say what you want, but when he was sitting there choking up on that last speech I heard him make, it was like, I mean, yeah, I mean, he could have just had something in his throat or whatever, but it was the whole damn speech that he gave for whoever knows how long. But man, I just wanted to give that man a lozenge, because he was struggling. But yeah, I'm real concerned. I don't think he's going to make it 4 years, his whole term, without some. I mean, if at all, if he does, he's going to need some big time help and support from his staff. But I just don't see that happening. I see him coming up short. And is it Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris. I could be mispronouncing her name too, and then I see her taking over at that point, which I don't know how that works either. Maybe if maybe does the vice president take over if the president is sick or injured or something like that, or is that just on a movie, The Angels Have Fallen with Gerard Butler, that I've seen that happen in. Great movie, by the way. But yeah, I don't know the chain of commands and what happens after that. He's older, but he had a cold. Okay, I know. I'm being harsh. I'm just joking. He probably totally had a cold. Like I said, my mouth is getting dry right now just talking, and I can't imagine a 70-some-year-old. Is he 80 or 70? Either way, I can't imagine him talking for 2 hours like I am, because I'll talk for 2 hours and my mouth just gets dry and choked up also. And that's why you always see me drinking tea. Well, for one, it tastes really good. It's nice and warm. But yeah, it's because my mouth is constantly dry. when I talk so much. So, all right, well, let's move past that here. Hope for the best. Like I said, those people that are actually depending on $600 or depending on anything from the government, it sucks that you're in that position. I would recommend to those people, this should be a wake-up call with the position that you're at in your life, as far as, you know, what can you do next? You should be thinking about what you can do, not what can someone else do for you. It should be more, now's the time to start reframing your thinking into, what can I do to plan for the future? What can I do to actually what actions can I take? It's not even about planning. It's about what actions can I take to put myself in a better financial situation. That's the question that needs to be had, the internal dialogue you should be having with yourself, especially if you're struggling, living a paycheck to paycheck, and you're expecting the government handouts. Just my suggestion. So he has to, VP take, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so it is like Angels Have Fallen. I don't know if you've seen that movie or not, but what is that guy's name? Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman ends up being the president. It's like part 2 of Olympus Has Fallen. Pretty good, both good movies. But yeah, the VP took over in that movie as well. So he has to die or become incapacitated. Okay, I get it. You heard Monday that they are still going to try to get us $2,000, but Trump still has to sign it. Okay. Yeah, and I heard that Trump's all about that, so I'm really surprised to hear that his staff denied that or is causing friction, because from what I've heard more people say that he's voted for the $2,000, and you're the first person that told me that he was against that. So that really interests me as far as what the truth is now. But typical politics, right? That's how it goes. I don't know what to believe. So anyways, let's move on to, so we did the Christmas recap. We did the stimulus checks. I'm going to talk about something, his party, he is mad at them. Okay. Let me take a drink, because this is something, that I have a lot to say about, and it might not be received well as well. Well, it would only be received wrong as if someone was projecting anything. So the contagious combo that I chose to talk about was the COVID, but in a different angle. I've thought about this real quick here, though. Okay, so Trump is for it, but the Republicans are not. Okay, so that's confusing, because Trump is a Republican, ain't he? I see. So there's just opposing viewpoints and motives. So I just don't know. I don't know what to believe when it comes to the politics. So one thing I did want to talk about here is it's the COVID thing, it's the mask thing, it's the pandemic. I really try not to talk too much about that, because at this point it's just redundant and regurgitated. But I mean, we're all faced with this, and it's in our face all the time, every day. Especially the ones that are in fear of it. It's completely controlled your life if you are in fear of this. Now, at first, I was pretty... Okay, one sec. Trump is a Republican, but really he just ran in there on their platform. Okay, but he is the boss. Oh, okay. Right on. Now he's not the boss, and now he's starting to find out who his true friends are, I imagine. So what was I saying about this? So yeah, at first I was kind of sympathetic, and I kind of felt sorry for a lot of people that are put in fear by this, and I still am. Feel sorry for a lot of people that are just shackled by this, because they think that they just need to lock themselves up forever and just reduce the amount of human contact and wear a mask everywhere they go. I still feel sorry for them people. But now I have a different viewpoint. I think a lot of us, I thought about this quite a bit, I think a good portion of the people that are in fear of this are using that as an excuse. Only at least 50%, probably more. If I had to guess, it's probably 80% really, but I'm just being realistic. At least 50% in probably a real world, 50% of them are using this pandemic as an excuse to not take action, just like they already have been in the majority of their life. And again, this might come off as being harsh, but I have thought about this quite a bit. I think a lot of people are using this excuse to not do anything, or using this as an excuse for why they're in the situation that they are. You've probably heard this quite a bit. You hear the blame game coming on, why people are, why things are happening to them because of the government, because of this. There's a lot of pointing fingers. There's no accountability. As soon as you see somebody not taking accountability for this particular subject, to me, it's a clear indication that it's a provided excuse for them. It's a shield for them. You know what I mean? And this is no surprise. People love excuses. I'm no different. I have to check myself all the time with excuses. My mind tries to go there as well. And so this is something people can relate to. The excuses, whether or not you have recognized it or you just put it in the back of your head as not being an excuse, it's there. People love them. They're there. Excuses are like face masks. Using an analogy, the excuse is like a face mask, and it's a way to, people love to hide behind them, is what I'm saying. And so I quickly, like I said, I have my own excuses, but I recognize them pretty quick, and I'm able to snuff out a lot of them really quick and recognize it and do something about it. For the most part, there are some excuses that I allow to pursue and maintain, and those are the ones I pay for. It's not many of them, but there are some. I'm a human being. But the COVID, I think, has literally provided a green light for people to use this as an excuse to not move forward with fill in the blank. It really does. No one wants to go anywhere. They don't want to see family. There's probably a lot of people that didn't want to do the family get-togethers to begin with. So it's like, oh, this is a great excuse to not have to do it now. You know what I mean? That's just a small example, though. Someone that doesn't want to work can use that as an excuse. Oh, well, I got to do the week quarantine, so I can't work this week. You see what I'm saying here? This has come in many, many forms, and I've seen it, and I can see through this shit. It's so transparent. I'm pretty good at reading people. I am. I'm not even trying to brag or anything, but for the most part, me reading people and their intentions, what their motives are, has been pretty accurate. It really has. Let me address what you're talking about, Jim. You think it's hard to find work. Unemployment is pretty high. Yeah, I agree. People are still waiting for unemployment checks. That's crazy. That is crazy. My sister has not received hers from her original filing in April, and she may not ever receive it. Like, there's some people that probably will never get it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I understand not everybody is going to go start a business or whatever. I'm not saying not everybody can be a business owner. Not everybody can just handle all that and do it. No, not everybody wants to do it. I get that, and that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is putting yourself in a better position. Had you gotten a better job for the last 10 years, 5 years, or whatever, and put a little nest egg away for an emergency, as such, this is an emergency. This would be the time that you actually use those funds in an emergency. And I'm not saying it's right that you have to use these funds in this emergency, but you at least have it to do something with it. And if you're waiting for an unemployment check, if you're waiting for the government to open up the country again, if you're just waiting for anything in general, I'm a firm believer that you're never going to move forward in anything. You're just not. Anytime you are sitting around waiting for something to happen, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen the way you want it. It's not going to happen in the time that you want it. I don't care what it is. You can fill in the blank, like I said. You can do things to, put yourself in a situation to make, there's people, if we got 17-year-old millionaires that own their own jets, there is no fucking excuse. I understand that's a small exception, but that shows you can do it. There is literally so much money floating out there. There's an ungodly amount of money out there that everybody has. You just got to figure out who has the money and how you can provide the value to get that money. And it might take you creating your own thing, which essentially is your own business. A lot of people think of a business as running a corporation or employees and all this. A business is just taking an idea and putting it into action. And I'll talk about that here in the Viral Viewpoint because that is one of my topics for today. But more ideas need to be put into action because we got too many people that are waiting for things to happen and for people to do things for them. And there's some situations where you have to do that. I get it. I'm no different. There's probably things that I also have to wait for people to do as well. But you can do more. You can do more, is what I'm saying. People can do more. And everybody knows this. In the back of their mind, they know this. They know that it's going to take a lot of extra work. They know they're not doing the most they can. They're not putting in the effort that they can. And they're not living to their full potential and not doing what they're capable of. And so that's what I'm being harsh about, is just encouraging people to actually recognize the situation they're in and kind of identify what they already know to be the truth as far as the things they're going to have to do to progress. You're going to have to go through some suffering. You're going to have to go through some hardships to get ahead. But when you stay neutral like that, you're slowly moving backward. And then when you hit an emergency pandemic, something like this, it's just so devastating that it knocks you on your ass. And you're now in a position where you are really relying on something to happen, even more so. When you can just start today you can start taking action. Create something. Create art. Create a fucking clothing line. Create a service. You know how many people are that have like a self-improvement, a dude that has a business on how to pick up chicks as a millionaire. These are real fucking things. This is the digital world we live in right now, where you sell your intellect nowadays. And so you got to recognize these things because the old ways of middle class living are starting to phase out as far as people wanting to be successful. We all want to be successful. So if you recognize that the middle class is failing, and it has been for years, you can start making better decisions now. It's going to take time, so you better start now, is what I'm saying. So just something I was thinking about, and this all stems for, I want people to kind of think about when they're afraid of this COVID, think real hard and be honest with yourself. Like, why are you really afraid of this? Are you really afraid of it? Or is this just a presented opportunity for you to, be complacent, be average? Nothing's expected of you. And so a lot of people like that when they're, like, hey, nobody's, and trust me, I'm the same way. Like, I like the days where nobody calls. And again, that's never happened until yesterday, I think, and Christmas Eve and Christmas are the two only days where I haven't got a call this whole year, I feel like. I don't know. There was a couple month period actually back in the summer when I was struggling with a manufacturer, but I still was getting blown up all the time. So I think people are really just capitalizing, is what I'm saying, is capitalizing on this pandemic and the COVID thing, and really just kind of spinning this and using this as a shield to hide behind, and do what they want to do, and they're comfortable with that. That's sad. That's pretty sad to me. Let me talk about what you're addressing here, before I get too ahead, Jim. So you were saying, let's see here. When a paycheck stops, it's hard. People do not know they need some savings. They work from paycheck to payday. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I mean, no shit, it's hard. What I'm saying is, like, recognize it is what I'm saying. Like, you can start by recognizing it and then take action after that. Ultimately, the action is what's going to change. So what can you do to change the hardships that are going to come? There's going to be hardships, and there's going to be another one after this, and another one. And then this ain't even the personal hardships that come up. This is just one global hardship. There's going to be many for every personal individual throughout their whole life. And I think people need to understand that they need savings. It was something that I wasn't taught for a long time. And I'm not saying, now this is a slippery slope to go down, though, for me, because I'm not the type of person that advocates saving pennies, and saving and saving and saving. Saving money should not be your focus. It shouldn't. What I'm saying is, there should be a time where you should focus on building that small nest egg, but your focus shouldn't be about saving money. Your focus should be more on how you're going to make money. And I think that's the biggest problem why people are in this situation and relying on handouts. They need to focus on, how can I make more money, not how can I save more money. The problem is not saving. The problem is the money being made. That is seriously the problem. These are all things I had to learn. I'm no different. I can relate to everybody. I've been in the situation, and I still battle with these things to this day, where my mind has a poor way of thinking. I have to reality check my mind all the time, because I was taught for 30 plus years the wrong things. But yeah, I have compassion for people that, lost their job and been working, for somebody. What I'm saying is, those people that have been working, let's say 20 years for one company, they're probably capable of starting something on their own. And not just when something stops. This whole time, they could have started something while they were working with somebody. You can always do a side hustle, a side job, a side business, a side idea as you're working for somebody. It's a way to start building your idea and a brand and something you can put into action. So you were lucky your consultant company made more this past year because of COVID. Yeah, me too. This is the best year I've had in the 3 years I've been in business. So, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One, I didn't go into retreat. I tripled down on advertising, and I just didn't listen to the government. And the combination of everybody being home as well, it really helped me for a few of those months really solid. I was probably getting like 15 calls a day as far as leads go. And so, where sometimes I would get like 2 calls. And so it definitely helped my industry, but it doesn't also fall in your lap, because I talk to kind of other similar specialty trade contractors like myself, and they're struggling. And a lot of them went into retreat. And so, I was probably one of the few that did prosper during this because of the decisions I made and the actions I took. As soon as I heard that, I went into action. There was no retreat at all for me. I seen that opportunity, and I knew it was a way, because I was taught that by by my mentor, that he likes to use the phrase, "Don't waste a good pandemic." And so when people are contracting, you should be expanding, and that's exactly what I was taught, and exactly what I did, and exactly why I've been successful this year. And so you were saying millionaires are the upper 2%. Yeah, I know. There's a very small percentage, and that means the 90%, the other 98% do the work. Yeah, I'm very well aware of that for sure. Most people do not know reality. They do not think far enough ahead to foresee something like this pandemic. I didn't see it. I don't think anybody's seen this. It's just an emergency. You're not going to see any emergency coming up, is what I'm saying. And so it's not just these global pandemics I'm kind of telling people to be aware of. It's just any type of personal emergency you're going to have. It's going to happen. You know, the engine blows up. I had shit right before this pandemic happened in January. My engine blew up and I had to fork out $9,000 that I didn't have at the time. I literally didn't have that money. And I had to sell my ass off to make up for that and to justify that. You know, that was the decision I made. You know what I mean? I was like, what am I going to do? I could have spent $4,000 to get the engine fixed, or I could have spent $9,000 to get a brand new engine and not have to worry about it. And so that's what I did. And so, yeah, I didn't plan for that. And so but what I did plan for was bad shit to happen to me at any time. And so that's what I'm kind of encouraging people. Not a lot of people think that far ahead. You're completely right. I wish they would. It's something they need to be taught. That's why I'm doing this podcast. That's why I do this, because if I can contribute in any way, someone might hear this. It actually gives a damn about their life, and can relate to this. Maybe I can help them in that regard. I'm using my own life as an example. So you're saying you're right. The middle class is dispersing. Yeah, it's gone. It's done. The middle class is done. That's why we need at least 1-2 months of living money set aside. Yeah. Yeah, the $9,000 was way extreme. Like I said, I did not expect that, but it happened. That was real. That happened, and I didn't have the money for it. I really didn't. It was just by miracle. I made a couple big sales, and then I had to upfront delegate that money to that, and then I had to continue selling my ass off, and then I did, and that was part of the reason why I also tripled down. I was putting out so much money. And then the fear of the pandemic came out, and it was just like one fear after the next coming after me. So I was just, you know, going after so much because I wasn't going to retreat, that's for sure. I could have easily given up. I've been presented many, many choices, many, many chances to just roll over. I've had so many opportunities to do that, and a lot of people would have, and I chose not to. But yeah, it's a thing. But long story short, for the contagious convo, all I'm asking people to do is when you're putting on that mask and you're telling yourself, I can't do this, I can't, and you're starting your sentences with I can't, I don't want to, I'm scared to, those type of things. Just, you know, really do some soul searching and ask yourself, get down to the nuts and bolts of why you are saying that and why you are so hung up on that. Because the reality is, if this pandemic went on for 5 years, are you guys going to live this way? I mean, are we really going to live this way? You can't. It's just not realistic. So, and I know it's not going to happen for 5 years, but who knows? I mean, nobody thought this was going to be going on for a year, and it has. Yeah, you were saying that's why I try to keep in the bank, but credit cards help too, as long as you pay them off in short term. Yeah, credit cards actually, it's funny, credit card is one thing I've only recently got. I've always avoided credit cards for some dumb reason. Now I've realized, you know, I've just been naive and uneducated about the credit, and so now I understand that you basically have to pay for your credit, meaning you got to get a credit card, you have to pay the interest, because paying the interest is basically paying for your credit. It's kind of a weird thing, a weird setup, but yeah, so long story short, I finally got my first credit card a few months back, and I still hardly ever use it, and I forget I have it. And so therefore, I'm not even really using it to build credit, because I'm not using it enough. I'm not getting in a good habit to spend the money that's on there. And so I probably should start doing that. Should probably make a schedule to do that, because literally I only have it just to build a little bit of credit. Because I come to terms with realizing I'm going to need a house to move in into recently. And in order for me to get into real estate, I got to start with a house. I got to start with a house that I'm going to be living in for 2 to 5 years before I can get any type of capital, or at least combine that with the money that I'm going to be making, to use that upfront capital to somehow either get multiple houses that are going to be generating income. I might have to do that for a while because my long-term goal is to own a multi-unit complex. And so it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of steps. It's going to be a long, hard road. And this is something that, it might take 10 years, but this is something that, it might take more, but this is something that I'm committed to, and I very well know this. It's going to take a while, and I'm used to long-term goals. I'm used to grinding and putting that work in. So as long as I'm just making moves towards that, it's going to happen. It's just going to take a while. But yeah, in case you guys didn't know, the market right now is brutal with house buying. There was 2 houses I seen. First of all, every house is so overpriced over here anyway. Yakima might not be that way, I don't know, or any other place in the country. Let me know what the market's like in these other countries, or not countries, these other states in the US. But over here, it's crazy. I seen 2 houses that were very reasonably priced. I offered more than the amount by $15K, and I was still beat by someone else's offer, and I responded quick. One of them was in 2 days, which probably isn't quick in this market. But then the other one, which is really nice, I'm really disappointed about that. This is exactly what I needed. It was like a 2-car garage, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story, had a huge backyard with a shed type thing. That's exactly what I need for my type of business. Again, that was, I made the offer within 9 hours of that post being put up, and it was sold. And so this is just a brutal fucking market right now. People are out here that have the money are just, they're looking to fix and flip, and they're just buying everybody out, quick status. And so for little fish like me, it's going to take a lot of persistence. I got to be super quick, and I got to just do it. So I can't wait though, because I can't wait to get the fuck out of this house where the landlord just keeps jacking up the rent. I'm not in an ownership position right now, so kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I'll get there. Just waiting for that opportunity, or not even waiting. It's just when that opportunity presents itself, I'm going to be on top of it, and I got to keep doing what I'm doing. Offer more, and try to just close that deal absolutely quick. Let's see. So you were saying there's power in speaking the positive things into your brain. There's a book called The Power of Positive Thinking. I read that, and it changed some of my thinking. I was in my 30s. Yeah, absolutely, man. Me and Jake were just talking about this the last episode. The internal dialogue that you have with yourself is empowering, or it can be discouraging. It can either shackle you or free you. And so that's why I talk a lot about self-improvement, because that's what my life is. I focus so much on self-improvement because I want to be better. And if I don't talk about it, especially while being surrounded by a lot of people that don't talk about it, that will diminish. That will diminish. And that's why I have a mentor. That's why I always study these things every day. That's why I'm always moving forward. And that's why I don't allow excuses to get in my way. So absolutely, I'm glad to hear that. There is a lot of power in that. You're right. There's a lot of power in that. And there's a lot of power in being honest with yourself. I talked about that too, not just having the internal dialogue, but having a dialogue with yourself that's honest, like trying to get into the back of your brain, because your brain lies to you sometimes. And we know what the truth is, but you gotta fucking dig deep sometimes to bring it out, I feel like. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. Let's see. Houses built in 10, 15 years ago are going up for $100,000 more than when I got out of them 5 years ago. Yeah. Find land and build. Yeah, that's even become harder. Because I don't have 300K to drop on. So I'm going to have to rely on the loan. And the problem with that is for a loan, you got to put, for a new construction loan, you got to put a 50K up front, at least for my credit score. And so I might have to wait until I do my taxes this next year, because this year was such a good year that it might actually have an impact on my credit score and my self-employment status, because the last 2 years weren't so great. And so that might be what is a game changer for me. What I'm going to do is file my taxes super quick, and then reapply for a new loan and see if that changes the new construction thing. Because trying to fork out $50,000 at once is going to put me in a huge hole. I can't really do that right now. I can't. I would be struggling. It'd put a lot of stress on me. And so let's see here. Yeah, and you're saying they loan on land and house plans. That's how I got started in 2005. And you might have had better credit, because I've already tried this. I can't find someone to give me a loan on new construction without me putting down $50,000 of my own money. What did they ask you to put down? I'd be curious. I know this is in 2005, a long time ago, and times have changed, but I am curious, like, what they asked you to put down on a new construction loan. Yeah, some land you can buy on a contract. I have seen that. You put 0 down, that's crazy. That's insane. You must have had killer credit, and there must have been some kind of incentive or some kind of other lender that really had a lot of flexibility to do that, because I can't. Yeah, 700 credit score, I don't have that. And so that is a game changer. That is kind of puts you into a different bracket automatically. And I don't know if this year is going to put me over 700, but it's going to get me darn close. So that's kind of what I'm up against. And, that's the best thing for me to ever do, would be to buy land and build myself. First of all, I'd save a ton of money. It'd be a lot cheaper. And I get what I want. So yeah, that absolutely sounds appealing to me. And maybe I just got to fish around and look around a little bit more. I don't know. If you know any companies that are still doing that, or you're saying a credit union is the best for that, huh? Well, let's see here. I don't know if I have a good relationship with a lender. I had a truck that I paid off for our community credit union. That was years ago, but I haven't used that bank in a while. And so when it comes to banks or credit unions, I don't have any relationships established except for the one with Bank of America. And they're not somebody that I think I would want to get a loan from. I think if I'm going to use a bank, you're right, it'd have to be a credit union. But that, again, goes back to my credit. So I'm kind of in a different situation as far as credit being bad, and there might be options for me, I don't know. So it's just a matter of me still digging deep into this, because I've only been approved by one company, and so there might be options for me. There might be other options for me as far as getting some land on a contract, like you said, and even if I did that, I'd still have to, for a new construction with my credit, they're asking $50,000. I don't know if it's just that lender or if it's any lender I go to. So I gotta look into that a little bit more. But that's kind of the journey I'm taking with that. And so we'll see. I'll keep you posted, because that's going to be a huge shift in my life, and that's going to put me in a better position. I've never heard of a credit builder company, and you're going to send me that link? Absolutely. I really appreciate that, Jim. Send it to me. I want to look into that. I've never heard of a credit builder company. I imagine they just kind of guide you as far as what you need to do to build your credit a little more in depth, probably, and kind of I'm interested to know what they do for you. Kind of have a plan, lay out a plan for you, maybe. I'm gonna check that out. So yeah, send me that link because right now I'm exploring all my options. But one thing's for certain is I need to make these decisions really quick, and I need to take action quick. And if I gotta wait a few months into next year to do that, so be it. But as soon as the flag is lifted, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm ready to get into a house. So let's see here. Let's see. So we talked about, okay, so that wraps it up for the Contagious Combo with the my thoughts on the pandemic and the masks. Let's do a review here really quick. So you guys remember me talking about the Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. boxing match. I think that was a couple weeks ago now. That's kind of old news, but during that same fight card, there was, you might have heard, it was Jake Paul who knocked out Nate Robinson, who's a former, I think it was Washington Huskies basketball player. And then he might have went on to be on the Celtics, I want to say. I never followed him on the NBA, but I did know of him in college basketball. But yeah, that was a big thing where Jake Paul, if you don't know who Jake Paul is, he's just a YouTuber. I mean, he's a successful YouTuber. He's got a lot of followers. He's just a silly dude. He makes a ton of... The first time I heard of Jake Paul is when he made that video, It's Everyday Bro. And so it was completely silly, ridiculous. But it was high quality, and it was a fun video, and everybody, it got attention. And so in order to be successful these days, you just got to get the attention. It's not even about good attention or bad attention. Just getting the attention is gonna be where it's at. So that was the biggest thing. Jake Paul knocked out Nate Robinson, and that was just a huge. Everybody was just kind of. The memes went on for days about Nate Robinson being knocked out, and so they were kind of really harsh on Nate. But the fact of the matter is, he's not a boxer. He's a basketball player, and he just decided to try out boxing against somebody who's been boxing their whole life. Not like Jake Paul has got a great record or anything, but he has been boxing for a good portion of his life, so he was not a stranger to that. So he ended up catching Nate Robinson with like a right hook, and the way he knocked him out was pretty brutal too, as far as how he fell. He fell face first and hit the mat face first, so not very pleasant way to get knocked out. And so ever since then, the reason I'm talking about this, ever since then, there's been a lot of publicity about how Jake Paul should, you remember Nate? Yeah, he was a good basketball player. He's real short, and he had a lot of hops, and he's able to dunk. Which is not very uncommon, short dudes being able to dunk. But the shorter you are, the more and the better. If you're a good short basketball player, you stand out a little bit more. Hence, like Allen Iverson, very short individual, but I mean, he was able to still dominate in that sport. So. Yeah, I thought it was the Celtics. Yeah. Okay. Still Boston, right? I imagine it's Boston. I haven't followed NBA in so long. I'm kind of sad because basketball is my favorite sport, and when I was a kid, I was obsessed with basketball. Card collecting. I played it every day. I mean, every day I played basketball. So kind of sad to know that basketball is not a part of my life anymore, and I look to a time. It'd be nice to look forward to a time where I actually reintroduce that into my life, because it still feels good to dribble a ball and shoot some hoops, and it's just one of those just a great sport. There's just so many values out of that sport as far as life lessons that can be taught. I use basketball as analogies a lot in life when I'm talking to my daughter, in many different forms. So, then he went to the Phoenix Suns. Okay, yeah. So. You know what I'm talking about then. Yeah, he got knocked out by Jake Paul. And then, so ever since then, Jake Paul has just been talking so much shit about, I don't know if he talked shit about Nate Robinson necessarily much about that, but he did call out. He just started calling out people, and the person he called out the most was Conor McGregor. And obviously everybody knows who Conor McGregor is. He's a very successful UFC fighter, and I don't even know if he's retired or not, but he's definitely reeled it back quite a bit, and he's not fighting as much. Well, Jake Paul called him out. I don't know if he's wanting a boxing match or if he's wanting to step in the ring. I doubt he wants to step in the UFC with Conor McGregor. But I mean, I watched a video where he was literally like sitting in a Lamborghini with his shades on, and he was talking so much shit. He was talking shit about Conor McGregor. He's talking shit about Conor McGregor's wife. He was talking shit about Dana White. He's talking shit about Nate Diaz at one point when he was tweeting. Like, I mean, this guy is going off and just way out of line right now. And so this is, it's all publicity. When I heard this and I seen him sitting there, I was like, this guy looks so confused right now. He looks like he's just a talking head that's going with the motion. And I mean, I get it. This is all publicity, and it's more of a move by his agent. This is agent derived. This is his agent saying like, hey man, what's our next move? We just need to make a move. I don't care if you get your ass kicked at something. You just need to get out there. And so it's all agent directed. There's no way in hell that Jake Paul thinks he has a chance with Conor McGregor. So last thing I heard was that Floyd Mayweather, retired boxer who's undefeated. You guys might have, I'm sure you know who Floyd Mayweather is. Mayweather called out Jake Paul and was talking and telling him that he was kind of sympathizing for Nate Robinson, saying like, hey, he's a basketball player, you know what I mean, like you shouldn't feel too proud about yourself, man. And so from what I heard, Floyd Mayweather has taken the fight with Jake Paul. Now that would be very interesting because he's going to be stepping out of retirement back into the ring to do this. Now that basically. Oh, by the way, what I did want to say about him saying that, being so disrespectful to Conor McGregor's wife and Dana White and all that, very immature approach, but a smart business move, right? It's like, how can those be in one video? But it is, it's just a very immature approach, but also a very smart business move. So I guess it's good job for his agent, but I don't know. At what point do you actually think for yourself is kind of what I wonder. So I guess he's set to fight Mayweather. I don't know when this is happening. I don't even know if it's 100% real or if it's true. I look forward to seeing that. Either way, it's I'm pretty sure Mayweather is going to dominate that fight just because he has way more experience. But it is a win-win for Jake Paul more than Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather has nothing to gain from fighting him. Jake Paul has something to gain for fighting him if he wins or loses. If he wins, obviously that's a huge upset, and he's just going to have this title, and he's going to get real big-headed and all that. If he loses, he's still going to be, he's still going to get, I guess, the fact that he stepped in the ring with Mayweather is going to be talked about, and he's, I don't know if he gets knocked out or how it happens, but he is still, it's still a win-win for him. So that's exactly why his agent directed him to do that. It makes sense. But it's just more funny at this point, and it's just all publicity. So it's just, that's kind of the way the world moves now, and boxing has gone that way right now, especially with the Mike Tyson and the Roy Jones fight, and now Mayweather and Jake Paul. They're, like Dana White was saying, like, there is a market for these type of fights, and so the people that are making all this money off of it see that, and they're going to capitalize on that, and it's just going to continue. 1 second here. All right, so Jim, you were saying, oh, McGregor hasn't fought in a while, but he's a badass. Yeah, he's definitely badass. They would all kick his ass for sure. Money talks, bullshit walks, and he's being cocky. Exactly. Super cocky, and he can. He doesn't even care if he loses. It's not even losing's not even a loss, and so it's easy to be cocky when you know whatever the outcome is. It's a win-win. So. It should be interesting to watch, so we'll keep an eye out on that, and we'll definitely review that fight because it's going to be entertaining, I think. I'm going to move on because I did want to make sure I gave myself enough time for this topic. I talked about this a little bit in the Contagious Combo when I brought up the fact when someone has an idea, turning it into an action, putting that idea into action. That's what the viral viewpoint is basically. Yeah, trying to get interest. Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. So the viral viewpoint is the reason I want to have this talk is because it's I get really irritated hearing these dumb statements that are thrown around, these nice sayings that we all have created that are just completely misconstrued and just false, and just a poor way of viewing things. So it's not the truth. And let me, I know you have no idea what I'm talking about until I say it, so let me just go out and say it. So the reason I've had this thought, this as a topic for the viral viewpoint is because I said this myself. I put out a post there about, I don't even remember what it was now. I've been posting way too much. And the post, I do remember though, I hashtagged, it's the thought that counts. Now, after I posted this, I was staring at it for a second, and for some reason I was really focused on the hashtag that I wrote, it's the thought that counts. And I was really bothered by it. And so I was like, why am I so bothered by that saying? And I really just analyzed it and really just thought about it. Had a moment where I was just kind of dissecting my own personal viewpoint on that statement and why it bothered me so much. And I figured it out. I figured it the fuck out. What it is, why it bothers me so much, and why it should bother everybody else so much, is because the term "it's the thought that counts" is just so wrong. It's not even true. It's not the thought that counts. It's the action that counts. This is just so plain and simple to see. This is what everybody knows to be true as well. The thought of something means shit to almost everybody. You can have a nice thought all the time. We all have great thoughts. We all have nice ideas. And that's kind of why it ties into ideas and going into action. It's not the thought that counts, though. It's just one of those warm and fuzzy sayings that we like to throw around there. It could also be a loose phrase, as I called it. And so, like I said, it's completely false. It is not the thought that counts. It is the action that counts. Nobody cares. Let's just say my daughter gives me, and again, it could just be someone just used to saying that, but that's not the real meaning of, it's just false. So we're not paying attention to what we're saying, and it's creating false narratives too. So, like, let's just say my daughter gives me she makes a little personal card, draws me a little picture, and then hands it to me. Well, it's not, again, using that example, it's not the thought of her wanting to make a card, wanting to draw something for me. The fact that she took the time to actually do that and put effort into drawing it. And by the way, she did make me a card. She does this all the time. She's always gives me art pieces. So the fact that, and truthfully, that's what makes me happy, is the fact that she's put time into actually doing something. If she were to sit there and say, "Hey Dad, I'm thinking about making you a card," I'd be like, "Oh, that's a nice thought." But if she actually presented me with whatever she thought about doing, I'm like, that's much more impactful to me. I'd be like, "Oh my God, like, you actually took the time to do this. give me a hug, I love you. And like, there's a lot more emotion to someone actually putting action into some thought, into an idea that they had. And now they've taken something and turned it into something tangible. And that's what people like. And so the thought that counts, every time I hear that now, it's just like, oh, it's so annoying. Just stop. It's not the thought that counts. Let's just change our speaking and our way of thinking and the way we say things, because it's not truthful. It's just not truthful. I mean, obviously there's a small exception of people that all they care about is thought, but very, very, very small. 99.9% of people, all they care about really is the action of something. All right, and that's, let's see here. I thought followed. Let's see here. I thought followed with an action is probably the best. Without action, it's just the thought. Without action, action is the bomb. Thoughts are just that. Yeah, exactly. Thoughts are nice, but it's not what counts. What counts is actually putting something into action, because now it's the time. Time is our most valuable asset. When you can see that someone has put time into something, it's automatically respected, it's automatically valued, and it's automatically tangible too. And we know this. We know that time is very valuable to us. We know, a lot of us don't like to give it up. So when you can see, and here's an example of that. When you see something that has been, let's use art as an example. When you see something that's like, I don't know if you've seen like, an art sculpture that's made out of like metal pieces, or cut up tin cans or something, and then someone made like a giant dinosaur out of it or something. I'm just using a crazy extreme example. Nobody really, that's not something everybody's into, right? I mean, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And dude, made a dinosaur out of this. But when you see that, if you were up close to that structure and you've seen it, it would actually probably be very impressive, and you automatically respect that, and you see the time that was put into it. And so that's what counts. Even if that's not your thing, it's not even something you're into. It's just like, oh wow, someone took their time and really did this. This probably took a long time. Like that's crazy, and that actually means something. That's powerful. And so that's just an example of how the action counts. It's not the thought that counts. And you're saying, okay, right on. Time is the only thing you can not get back or borrow. Once you use it, it's gone. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because we all know this. It's just we don't really evaluate it enough. And so even children know this. You know what I mean? Like they know that their time is valuable. I mean, obviously not to the point to where time is limited and they're gonna die eventually. But they still know that it means a lot to put time into something. A child knows this. So it's just some of the most basic common sense that people should recognize. But yeah, that statement, that we should get rid of that statement and change it to it's the action that counts. And so I'm gonna have to next run of shirts I make, it's gonna say that. And so hopefully I can coin that term before anybody else does. But I'm gonna write it's the thought that counts, and I'm gonna cross out the thought and put action right below it, because that means a lot to me, and that realistically, that's what everybody cares about. And it means a lot to them as well, everybody. So, but how that plays into what I was talking about is when you're thinking of an idea, this can go back into the contagious combo as far as what I was talking about, like encouraging people to, put their idea into action, into motion. Because everybody has ideas. Everybody has good ideas, I think. But nobody ever puts it into action. Or I wouldn't say nobody. What I'm trying to say is everybody has great ideas. But the moment from taking that idea and putting it into action, I was just talking to some friends about this the other day. When you take an idea and put it into action, that move right there, that is what people struggle to do because of fear of failure, fear of what people think of you, which is ultimately why people don't want to fail, because they're afraid of what people think of them. If no one was around, they would fail all the time. You know what I mean? Just to get to what their end goal is. And so that jump is what kind of separates a lot of people from being successful and actually being where they want to be. It's going to determine a lot in your life, and it's going to also dictate where you are going to be in your life financially, with relationships, with everything. That move in that moment from taking an idea and turning it into action, start making moves on it, is so vital, and it's such a turning point. It's so necessary for growth. I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I have a lot of ideas, and a lot of them I just don't even. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I've had multi-million-dollar ideas that I didn't even write down, and I could fucking punch myself in the face for not actually capitalizing on that. I have some ideas, and then since then I've obviously written down all my ideas. But yeah, those ideas mean shit. I got a page of ideas. All these ideas that I've written down, they don't mean anything until I actually put it into motion. And I'm very well aware of that. I have so much going on, though. It takes a little bit more time for me to delegate my time into these different aspects. But I'm very well aware of, actions not being capitalized on is just, it means nothing. And so an idea that's not turned into action is just a thought. And it's not the thought that counts, because that's just an idea. So it's the action that counts. So that term just really is in alignment with taking an action and taking an idea and putting it into action. And that's something I'm really encouraging people to do, and I'm encouraging myself to do a little bit more too. The problem with me is I have a lot of ideas, and so I can't keep up with putting these ideas into action. So what I need to do is really just prioritize these ideas into what I think is actually going to generate some traffic or traction, and just start doing it. And carving out time for it, because putting something into action is going to take time. And that's what we just talked about as far as things being valuable. You were saying, Jim, absolutely 100% fear is the cause of most failure. Yeah. Fear is also the reason why people don't take action, because they don't want to fail. They don't want to fail. And, like I said, I've been there. I made that switch mentally where I still don't like to fail, but now I know it's necessary, so I don't run from failure. Like, I'm more than happy to fail at something. I would much rather try at something and fail than not try at all and not know what happened, or not try at all and fail anyway. You know what I mean? I would at least rather give it a fighting chance. And so, let me take a drink here. I'm starting to sound like Biden. All right, I'm gonna need me a lozenge. But yeah, it's a really important topic for me. Like I said, I've built the last year and a half, 2 years, maybe even longer now. I feel like I'm not even giving myself enough credit. It's actually been longer than that, I think. It was basically when I fell back on my face after my business partnership failed. And then I had to start my own business. It's just one action, one idea turned into action, and then I just kept doing it. But yeah, very important topic for me. I love talking about that. I think it needs to be talked about a little bit more. And more importantly, they need to be teaching shit like this in school. They're not going to. And so that's why it is up to individuals like, hopefully I'll get to a point in my life where I'm successful enough to where I can actually, justify providing this type of value to mass quantities of people. I don't think I've really earned that yet. There's a lot of other successful people out there that have probably done a lot more than me that have earned that. And so they, and whatever, maybe I'm just kind of shortchanging myself. I think I have a lot of value to contribute. So, but yeah, these topics we're talking about is self-improvement. There's a ton of people out there that have developed mentorship programs, training to teach people these things because they're not teaching this shit in school. They're not going to. This is why they want that middle class to the middle class mentality to uphold in people, and this dream of it to maintain. So it's just not going to be taught. So, but anyways, hopefully anybody who listens to that, listens to this later on, gets some value out of this, anything I'm saying, and hopefully can relate to some of this. If not now, hopefully in the future. All right. So that leaves us with a couple rants I got here. So, this is an easy one. So I always constantly get an email. Oh, you know what? I'm going to talk about this actually. This is hilarious. Yeah, exactly, Jim. Schools teach people how to become good employees, not how to make it. Exactly. They want you to fall in line. They want you to be a good little taxpayer and law-abiding citizen. Just be average, be mediocre, and not strive for much. It's funny because they try to put on the facade that they want people to be hyper successful, hyper focused, and all this, but then they teach you the opposite. So it really just needs to be more entrepreneur type classes and skills and leadership that's taught in schools. It's just really lacking right now. But yeah, this is funny. I was shopping in Hallmark. This is just a funny rant, but I'm sitting there looking for cards and knickknacks and things like that I got Malia, and I hear this individual in the store. I don't know if he had Tourette's. I think he had Tourette's. It was the weirdest thing. It's the first time I've ever ran into Tourette's. I don't know what it was. If I had to call it something, it was Tourette's. But I mean, I heard when they walked right in the door because this kid started making this noise. And I'm not kidding. I'm going to try to mimic it exactly how I heard it. It sounded like it reminds me of like a native call, maybe. I don't even know what to call it, but he was making this sound. I'm not even fucking kidding. He was doing this at a high volume in a very small store. Oh my God, it cracks me up just thinking about this right now. He was doing this in this very small store, and he was just doing it sporadically. And I spent about 20 minutes together in the store with him. He did it at least 20, 30 times. It would just be quiet for a little bit. Next thing, I mean, he was across the room at one point. Next thing you know, he's standing right next to me, and I didn't know it. And then all of a sudden, he's like, yeah. I'm like, whoa, dude. I mean, it was strange. It was really strange. I'm really curious to what was going on with that kid, but it was funny because I heard him talk and he sounded very intelligent, and he was just like, going about life normally, but for some reason he was just making that sound every so often, and it was just completely random. And I there's a couple times where I kind of gazed upon the room of other shoppers in there, and the reactions I seen a couple of people make when he was making that sound almost made me lose my shit and just start laughing, because it didn't bother me. It's not really like it wasn't upsetting me, it wasn't bothering me, but it did make me think. It's like, man, how would you live your life like that if you were just a person that couldn't stop making these random calls and these weird shout outs like that, no matter where you were? It's like, I don't know. I have no idea what I would do. I guess I would. It's not that I would be embarrassed, but I definitely would be uncomfortable putting everybody else in a weird situation like that. It was crazy. But it was more funny than anything. And to be honest, if I did have that, I would also be able to laugh about it, like I am now. So me laughing about it is not like making fun of the individual, because I find humor in a lot of things. I find humor in things that other people just might not, consider funny. I talked about this in podcasts before, how I found humor in racism. And there's a place and time for these type of things. Obviously, there's a point where it's not funny, or what the way that the delivery is, things aren't funny. But for the most part, if you're a playful individual and you find humor and things like that, it's very apparent and clear to people that your intentions are not bad and you're not evil. So, but yeah, I thought it was funny more than anything. But I've never ran into that. Let me know if any of you guys have ever ran into someone with Tourette's. It had to be Tourette's, because I don't know what else to call that. Dude was just making calls like that, very loud. I'm not talking about quiet. This was loud. But yeah, this is something for me to talk about. Freaking hilarious. Here's a rant. Real quick here. I'm going to squeeze this one in because this actually bothers me. In this passive world that we live in, where people just can't make any decisions. They just can't be upfront about anything. This really bothers me because it happens to me every so often, quite a bit actually. But it kind of really bothered me when I just seen it recently on someone else's business page, where they were advertising something and someone just typed in the comments, interested. I'm like, there's other ways to, here's why it bothers me. Most times people are doing that are not serious buyers. They're not seriously interested in making any decision. They're just trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do. It's an attention seeking thing, I guess. I don't know. I can't really think of many people that said interested in my comments on the advertisement actually converting to a sale. It's the people that make the call. It's the people that say, hey, direct message me and say, we're looking for this and this and that, and actually engage in a conversation with me. And very quickly I can find out if someone's serious, and then I can actually pre-qualify them and get them past that stage, because if they make it past the pre-qualifying questions that I asked, then I know they're serious buyers. And then at that point I've created interest. I've framed my pitch into a way that I was taught. It's been very effective for me. And in case you're wondering what that is, what I mean by that is I framed it into who I was taught by Orrin Claff, which is basically what he likes to put as, the way he likes to put it is, people want what they can't have, they chase that which moves away from them, and they only value what they pay for. Now, some of that might not be true, but for the most part, whether you believe it or you don't, if you frame your pitch or into that narrative, it really does drive a lot of attention, and it converts people, and you really weed out a lot of the people that are just kind of fishing and wasting your time, or looking for something cheap. You really eliminate a lot of wasted time that way. I've been really successful by framing my pitch in such a way. So it is effective. It's a proven method. And when I think back on my own life and my own, the way I handle things, it's so true. There's things I chased that I wanted what I couldn't have, chased things that moved away from me. And a lot of times I only value what I paid for. I'm ashamed to say that. So that's just true, So it's been effective for me. But when the interested thing, so it bothers me because when you just say interested, there's no, you're just like waiting, like, is that all you have to offer the conversation, is just interested? Okay, I'm interested. I'm interested in this, I'm drinking this tea right now. I'm interested in doing a podcast. I'm interested in scratching off these things. Like, interested in something doesn't mean shit. Again, this kind of ties into the thought that counts. It really does. I'm interested in the action of what you're interested in. So Um, it it's so irritating because basically what I want people to do is have a backbone, take initiative, be very clear, and make a decision. Like, do something. You know what I mean? Stop pussyfooting around things that you're not even going to take action on. If you're not going to make a move, don't talk to anybody about it and interested. And if you are, be upfront about it. If you're going to be someone that's just extracting information, you know, you're looking for multiple quotes just so you can extract a ton of information. I've been in that scenario plenty of times too, and I have a way to deal with that too. Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to waste my time to just provide a ton of information. I can give you information, but we don't need to go through an appointment that needs to be set. We don't even need to make a phone call. I mean, I will give you my time on the phone, but there's things I won't do unless I know you're actually pre-qualified and legitimately interested. So it really bothers me because there is no interest. When you say you're interested, that tells me you're not interested in actually buying something. So the people that actually buy from me are the ones who actually call me, who actually message me and say, what's it going to take to move forward with something like this? And if you're actually an established business, you have quality work out there, you're getting that attention, you're constantly advertising, you're everywhere, you're like I am, like as much as I can be. I mean, I'm advertising all the time, billboard advertising, Google, Instagram, Facebook. I've done it all, Valpak, flyers in the mail. Like I've done things that weren't successful and things that aren't successful or that are successful. I forgot where I was going with that, but I'm only interested in the people. When people are interested, they will actually make that very clear that they're interested. So it really bothers me, and then thinking about all the time that I wasted in the first year of actually running business, to where I actually did give quotes to anybody who had a pulse. It's frustrating to see those people. It's like, because I see that, I'm like, oh, I know what you're doing. I know what kind of person you are. Like, I'll be upfront with people. I'm like, are you just looking to kind of extract some information from me, because I can just provide you whatever information you need, and then I'll provide that information, and then I'll just get right to it and give them the close and say, are you ready to move forward with this? Is this something we're actually gonna take action on? I mean, I do the inquisition. I ask the hard questions, and that's why I actually make sales, because that's the reason why people don't make sales. They don't ask that hard question, when sometimes that's all it takes. People need you to guide them because they can't make that decision. They need you to help them make that decision. So you need to provide value and then close them. And this is not like an old sales tactic. This is just human nature. I mean, this goes back to, nobody has a backbone. Nobody's clear about what they want, and no one's making any decisions. So we need someone there to help them with that. And that's what I'm here for. But that's one of my rants. It bothers me when I see that every time people that advertise. You see it a lot on Facebook. Facebook is the worst for advertising sometimes. I wouldn't say the worst, but one of the worst, because I have gotten a lot of business off Facebook too. But you get a lot of, as far as the ratios go, you get a lot of those people that are just like interested, like, oh, this is cool. What would it take? What would it cost? Need a price. Oh my God. There was one time I made a post where it got like 100+ comments on it. And the people were just, a lot of them were, it's funny, dude. People are just like a flock of birds or sheep or something. One person started this trend and was just like interested in a price. And like, I'm not kidding. It just went on and on, like 20, 30 comments right after that guy. I need one too. I'd like a price too. Interested. Fuck, if I had to guess, probably 90% of those comments actually converted and were serious about doing business. Most of them were just trying to have a conversation, or probably just sitting at home being bored. Just like, oh, it'd be cool to talk to them, Like, I don't know what they think. They think someone just sits at a computer all day and that's all they do is have time to waste. I don't know. But there is a level of disrespect towards businesses. And so that was something I had to realize as well. There's a huge disrespect towards businesses and their time. They expect you to show up. They want to just click on something, have someone show up, spend 2 hours with them, and then they won't even get back to you. They won't even, and you'll email them, you'll call them, leave voicemails, and they'll ghost you, as they like to say. And that's a thing. And that's something I had to learn the hard way. So, but yeah, Jim, yeah, exactly. You're talking about the art of the sale, and you were saying human nature, yeah, is people just staying interested, probably. I imagine what you're talking about. Qualified buyers are the best. Absolutely. Figuring out how to qualify them is an art too. It's all relative to your industry, and it's relative to, you need to figure out you need to keep it short and sweet. Just 3 or 4 questions that have to be very impactful, and also have to give you a clear indication of where this person's at in the buying process. Real quick here, some new words and loose phrases that were used in 2020. I kind of docked this down, just a few of them. I probably could have came up with a lot more. I just didn't have the time. I did it in a short amount of time. So new words and loose phrases. One of them is cringy. Cringy, right? Probably heard that be used quite a bit this year now. Mental health. There we go. You've heard me go on and on about the mental health bullshit that I hear about. And again, I sympathize for the people that truly are suffering from mental health too. But I also gave you guys my opinion on what percentage I think that is, and what percentage I think are also using that as a mask and an excuse not to. Busy. Busy is a loose word, and likes to be used in phrases as well. Flatten the curve. I've heard that been said like quite a bit this year. Flatten the curve. I had no idea what flatten the curve even meant. I mean, I never really used it in anything. I don't really look at graphs much. So flatten the curve, there's a term that has been loosely thrown around as well. And the last word would be woke. Woke. If you're not woke, you're a joke. Apparently. And apparently if you're not woke enough, the thing about the woke community, I've talked about this, is they'll fucking eat you up if you're not woke enough. So you're either gonna, if you want to be woke, you either need to be all in woke, or you need to be on the opposite end of being woke. Unfortunately, I am only a little bit woke. I'm just dabbling in the woke, but ultimately, the woke community can irritate me at times. I'm a realistic person. I respect people's values. I respect people's opinions, but the woke community really likes to shove shit down down your throat and really just put things in your face. And I guess that could be said for a lot of people too. But I think the way it's presented is inappropriate in my opinion. Awake is past tense. Oh wait, you're saying busy doing nothing. Exactly. Stop saying you're busy, because I know what busy is, right? Awake is past tense. No, I was saying woke. Oh, I see what you're saying. Exactly. So this is it's incorrect English. Is woke even a term or a real word? I think you're right. Woke needs to be corrected with awake. That's even more funny. So yeah, I've heard all these terms. I've heard just be thrown around way too much this year. Cringy was one of them. Like you hear that shit way too much. So people, get with the times. Stop going with the flow of everything so much, and look into stuff and have an authentic, genuine perspective and opinion about it. Don't just hear something like woke, for instance. Don't think that like, oh, this person's woke. So I'm gonna be woke. I'm gonna be so fucking woke that it's gonna be sickening. Like, do some research and make sure that the people that you're actually following, that you're trying to be in alignment with, is actually something that you value, or if you're just, do some soul searching in that as well and see if that's something you're just kind of following the herd with, or if you genuinely believe in these things. So, but anyways, I am past my time. I better wrap it up. You were saying I am awake. Nice. Yeah, they need to change that. It sounds seriously awoke. There we go. I think awoke. Yeah, awoken. That's past tense. Yeah, awaken. Man, now I gotta Google it. Trusty old Google. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you chit chatting with me, Jim, and I'll see you next week on next Saturday. This have a happy New Year. I appreciate that. You and your family enjoy the rest of this year, and this is the last episode of this year. Next year, 2021, we're gonna hit it hard and do my best not to miss any episodes, and just really just kind of think of different ways to improve the podcast. And then, of course, if I end up moving, that's going to be an uplift and a whole reconfiguration of the office and the whole setup and all the gear. So it's going to be a transition that I'll need you guys to bear with me in. And I'm almost certain that's going to happen next year. So bear with me during that. I look forward to that. But yeah, I appreciate all the help, all the support, all the follows, all the shares, all the subscriptions this year. It really means a lot to me. Anybody who takes the time, because it's not the thought that counts. Anybody who's taken the time to actually watch this or be involved with this, whether it's live during the show or even later on and listening to this on their own time, I really appreciate that. So thank you for that. And just help me keep the momentum going. All right. So with that, I'm gonna let you guys go, and we'll see you guys next Saturday in the next new year. All right. Until then, keep it viral and keep it contagious. Bye now.